Hi everyone. Take my glasses off. How's everyone doing? I'm hoping that we are getting through this little virus. This dog, I'm sorry. I am dog sitting. I don't have another dog. I know it shows in my videos. I don't have another dog, not yet. I don't know if I'll be getting another one because I kind of want to make myself very busy. So I don't think I'll be taking in any more dogs. I already got my cat, and you know, dogs is a lot. And every time I go into another space and think I'm going to sit down and do a video, she makes it a point to be part some way. So you probably see me do all this trying to move her out the way. She makes it a point to be involved. Anyway, this video is going to be about my daughter, and I hope it's not a lot of noise outside. I don't never have cars really coming down my street, and so we will hope that y'all can hear me. But this particular video is going to be about my daughter and her miracle when she was hit by a car when she was 6 years old. Before I go into that, I'm going to give a story, and the story is going to be, I don't know, it obviously is a fake story. It's going to be set in, I guess, biblical setting. This is how I vision it, so I assume that that's how I read it. I'm going to kind of give my version of the story. I'm going to give my version of this story. But the story goes where there was two men, and they were in their travels, and they had to lodge because they were tired and they needed a place to sleep and a place to eat. So the first, there was, and I want to say it like one of them was a leader and one of them was more like, the person that was an assistant. That's how I'm going to put it. I'm sure they gave more. This story I read such a long time ago, a really long time ago. But basically, they went and they lodged at the first home. The first home was like a very rich family's home, and the rich family allowed them to stay, but put them in like the stable area, and told them they can lay on the hay, and that they didn't hardly give them anything to eat. They gave up things like bread and water or something like that, and they weren't very nice to them. Just basically like, I do you this favor, but not in any type of manner that they wanted to do them a favor. So then during the night, the assistant wakes up and he sees that the leader is patching up a hole for them in their wall. And he doesn't understand, like, why are you doing that? They're so mean to us. They haven't been nice. Why are you doing them a favor? And he's like, things are not always as they seem. So the next time they went back in their travels and they needed to lodge, and they came to a family that was, not doing well at all, pretty much poor, but making well do for the cow they had in their yard, and that was feeding, giving them their milk. So they didn't have a lot, but what they did do is they gave them their bed to sleep in so they could have a comfortable night's stay. And they gave them a really nice meal. Even though she came in, she leavened the bread. She really did all she can, her and her husband, to make them feel comfortable and at home. And they had a good night's sleep. And the next morning, the assistant heard the husband trying to console his wife because the wife was crying. And so they, during this time, and okay, let me go. I hate when I mess up a story, but I'll get to that. Anyway, so basically, they found out that the assistant found out the reason why the wife is crying, because the cow that basically supplied their food supply, that was there for them, through this hard time, has died. So now the assistant is upset with the leader, and he's saying, why would you allow this to happen? So let me just explain, because this is what I forgot to say. They were like angels, I think. Tag, was a long time I read this story, but I believe they were angels of some sort. I don't know, but they were like angels. And he says, why is it that when we were at the rich people's home, you did them a favor by doing carpentry to their home and making things better for them, and they treated us badly? And here, when you could have protected their source of food, when you could have protected their cow, you chose to allow their cow to die. And he said, things are not as they seem, are not always as they seem. So basically, he was saying, the leader said, when we was at the rich family home, I saw that there was a whole bunch of treasures in the wall. And because they were so selfish, I patched the wall up because they did not deserve those treasures. Those treasures, will always be behind that wall because they do not deserve anything else good. But when I was here at the family that did treat us right, I noticed that death had came to the door to collect his wife, and I gave them the cow instead. And so that story obviously stuck with me like many, many, many years. People used to email things back and forth, and I'm sure they probably still do. I just don't work in that environment no more. But they used to email things back and forth. What are you doing? Um, they used to email things back and forth, and this is one of those stories that they emailed me. So I kept that story like forever. I love it so much. But I kind of almost like seem to live portion of that life, I guess, because like that miracle type life, I guess you want to say, or it's like my theory, and it's not, it's not in the Bible. Nothing says that this could happen, and I just go by that story. But I remember when my daughter, we were going to Rite Aid in West Orange. We I stayed in a car. My mom was getting out. My daughter and my son was getting out because they wanted to go with her into Rite Aid. And as I was sitting there, I heard all the screaming. And while I heard all the screaming, so I should say this story is about my daughter. And I think I'm also going to add my son on to the end of this because it just works perfectly. But while they were screaming, I heard my mom, screaming, my son screaming. I look around and my daughter is under a car, and the car is moving on her. Now, she's 6 years old. She's not moving. When I looked at her, she was not moving. She was totally still. And at that moment, there's certain points in your life that for some reason power, you just you have the power to speak to God. My last video, I talked about my son and, that prayer that just seemed like it was way deep in me. It was like, today I'm going to pray. I'm going to give you this. And I felt the burden lifted from my back. I literally felt like someone took bricks off my back. And this particular prayer, when I saw my daughter under that car, I prayed with gosh, I can't think of the word, but so much power. I have to say it's power. I prayed with so much power. I prayed. I said, not today, Lord. Not today. You will not take her today. Not today. And I just kept saying, I said, she is fine. She is good. God, give me my child back. I will not play this game today. So I got out, and it felt like an outer body experience. You've seen your child under a car. You feel like you have an outer body experience, okay? So I am getting out the car, and I'm looking around, and my son is over there. He's trying to bang on a woman's window. This is October 31st. 30th. So this is mystery night. She is probably scared that, this 10-year-old is banging at her window. She's kept backing up because she kept looking at him. My mom fell because she was trying to get my daughter, but now she fell on the ground. Now she's just doing this on the ground, screaming and crying, like banging the ground, screaming to have this woman stop running over my daughter. And my daughter is just down, like she's not moving. So now I'm like, okay, not today. So it was like an outer body. I said, not today, not today, not today, not today. And I just kept saying it as I'm looking at the situation, as I'm walking, looking at my mom on the ground and my son and my daughter. And then I started seeing my daughter get up and move to this side because the car was going this way. And then the car had to go this way in order to get out the parking spot. And so now my daughter's moving to this side. And then I said, stop. And then the lady looked and she saw my mom already on the ground and wondered why my mother was doing this, which made her want to stop anyway. And my daughter got up. When I saw my daughter, she was not moving. So for her to have gotten up was a true blessing. Like, I just knew, something was going to go down that was not. Well, I didn't know that. Again, I said not today. So I didn't know, right? I knew that today we were going to have a miracle, and I believed it, and I spoke that into existence, and basically that is what happened. Like, my daughter did get up. So I say that, and then I tell you that beginning story, because not long after that, I lived in a complex where we didn't even have animals. We weren't allowed to have animals, but I did have a cat. I just had to not speak on it, but I had a cat, right? And no one had dogs in this place because dogs would bark, except for the people who had dogs that were grandfathered in. But no one had a dog that would be like, like a big dog. No one had big dogs or scary dogs or anything like that. They always had those little frou-frou dogs like this one right here, right? And then all of a sudden, one night, not long after that situation with my daughter, we get a knock on the door, 12 o'clock. And I always say maybe a month or two after my daughter, maybe, I'm assuming. I can't really remember the time frame on that. In a situation where my cat was already old, 12 years old. She should have just, lived her life and passed. My neighbors knock on my door at 12 o'clock at night and says I should check the backyard because they think that that's my cat in the backyard, and two Rottweilers just tore her up. I probably should have warned you. That was about to be a horror story. Not that I'm laughing about my cat. That probably is like you didn't expect that one. And obviously I didn't. So now I'm going back there. Yes, I have to pick up my cat. And yes, I made my ex at the time go back there and pick up my cat. He was so mad at me. I said, make sure you get the leg. He was so hurt. He was so mad. He said, I don't like animals. It was so funny. But he went back there and got my cat. My father came and collected it and took it to wherever he took it to. And of course I bothered my father because I wanted to take and bury the cat, so he had to then drive at work and keeping the cat in his back of his trunk all day. He's like, let me just get rid of it. I'm like, no, I want to bury my cat. So anyway, I say that because I said that maybe and this is probably not the case, but the Lord took the cat instead. So that's the first thing. So what makes me even say this again is I had a dog. Y'all have seen, if y'all check anything on my actual site, Facebook with my name, that my dog had died this summer. And basically, not the greatest way. So in this particular story, when my grandson, oh my gosh, stop it, no, likes to lick my feet. And I don't want my feet licked. I don't want you licking my feet. Bye-bye. No. So, in this particular story, I, wound up hearing my daughter give me a call, telling me that she did start it off right. She said, he's all right. But then she goes into the story that my grandson, she was holding his hand, and he let go of her hand real hard, ran into the street where she lives on a busy street, mind you. And a car was coming. It hits him in the head. He flies in the air about another car length, but across the street where another car is coming. The car gets right here near his head, where then this man out of nowhere just jumps out and says, "Stop," to that car. And my daughter said that his head was this close to being smashed. So that story happened. That really happened. He was 2 years old when this happened to him. He sat up and he just wanted his tickle me Elmo. He just wanted his tickle me Elmo. So obviously my daughter's crying. The baby is not even crying. He's feeling shocked or something, but he's not crying. He's not showing any type of emotion in that type of way. He started, feeling like what was wrong with his mom. He knew he just went through something, but he wasn't crying from any pain or anything. So we took him. Of course, we all met her at the hospital, right? And I always say the way that happened. Okay, the lady said she couldn't stop until she just hit him. That's when she stopped, even though it still hit him and knocked him across the street. And then that other car was coming. But I felt like an angel was like, boom. And an angel was like, boom. Like, seriously, that man was an angel. And it was like, boom, boom. It ended. In the prayer, um, the prayer, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in the green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me beside the oh my gosh, I don't know why I just messed that up. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod, thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy, the angels, shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Goodness and mercy followed us all the days of our lives. And I promise you, every time I believe that. Like ever since I was a kid and I've heard that prayer, I always knew I was not alone. My children were not alone. My grandchild is not alone. No one's alone. Goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our life. So there's goodness, stop. There's mercy, stop. We get to the hospital. They do all the tests. He's totally fine. They ask him to, because Ruby was telling him that he knows his numbers or whatever. He knows how to count. My father said, count. He says, uno, dos, tres. We're not even Spanish. But he learned Spanish on his own, really on his own. He YouTube that thing. He always listens. I think I've done a video on my regular Facebook page where he actually just looking at stuff in Spanish. That boy can speak Spanish. He can speak Spanish. But my daughter also used to be able to speak Spanish when she was a baby because her babysitter was Spanish. But he was telling them all the stuff in Spanish. He was like, "Oh Lord, I hope they didn't make him Spanish." Knock that part of his brain in, and now he'll never understand what he's saying. But it was such a blessing. I mean, we got through that, and not long after that, my dog had to die in not the greatest way. She lives to be 16 years old. I hate to end this out with a bad story, but it's why I started it with the story that I started it with. Because unfortunately, we ran over the dog because the dog was in the driveway when we were backing out. Now, she lived to be that long. And I feel like the tragedy that has to happen, like they didn't just die, the cat or the dog. And my dog didn't die instantly. We had to put her down because she was too old, they said, to take the surgery. The surgery was extensive. And an old dog at 16 years old would not be able to take that surgery. So they said I could, but she more than likely probably won't live long after that. And the surgery was obviously like $8,000. It was too expensive to not have a good result. They said if she did live long, you'd be in the hospital all the time with her. She's just not going to do good. And that the amount of infection that could have, ensued because she was open in her stomach. And it was a lot. It was a lot. I had to lose my dog. But then I go back to that story that the Lord took the dog instead. Now, I don't want my dog to have died, but I'm so thankful that I have my grandson. I didn't want my cat to have died, but I'm so thankful I have my daughter to have given me a grandson too. So it's like I'm doubly blessed. Like, I enjoy my daughter, and I will be uploading some things on a different site, through Facebook and YouTube, about my serene journey in raising my daughter and how hard it was, not what it was, and it wasn't that easy. I went through some extraordinary stuff, but I still thank God, because like the miracles that He laid upon our lives, that He's given us, like, me and my daughter has a really good relationship, and I'm loving on my grandson, so it makes me okay if I don't ever have any kids, because I got this little boom boom. I think more I wanted to have a kid because I didn't. There was no children in the home, and my kids have moved out, and but my grandson and my godson, they fulfill those needs. They fulfill those needs. Actually, too much, because now I don't even get to do much because I always got them. So they got to go home now so I can do me again. I'm starting to feel like I ain't got me. I'm too busy taking care of people's kids. And I gotta work. So it's not like I'm just home sitting around being a mom babysitter. Like, I'm not that woman from the way I am right now. So, but I just thank God, because if He had to take the animals to spare my family, I loved on those animals. I really did. But of course, I want my daughter, my son, my grandson, because I want them. I know that my animals are going to live a certain point. I never want to live past my children's life, and so I just always ask God to protect them, to keep them. It feels like something always happens. They're always under attack. I stay constantly in prayer for my children. I have this like sense, and I know that things are going to happen to them. I always know. I remember when my daughter was coming across the street from here. I was in the basement. I was sweeping the basement, and I just was told, like, and many times I was just told to get down and just start praying. So I dropped the broom and I got down on the floor and I just started praying. And then my daughter at the time, who was 9 years old, she was 9 years old, came running in the house saying, "Ma." As soon as I got into the parking lot across the street, the this man started looking at me and then started chasing me. So whenever I feel something, I always feel like it's time to pray. I could be wrong. I don't even care. I'd rather be safe than sorry. I'm like, Lord, protect, 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 protect. I say my prayers. And so, I know that the devil is out to attack our children. I know the devil is trying to do his best to take, things that, from us. But to take our children, you know, those who have lost, I keep you in prayer. I keep you in prayer. I don't have to know your face or know you. If I hear a story, I keep it in prayer. It stays in my prayer. Not long from here, there was a house that had a fire, and the 19-year-old son was trapped upstairs, and she lost him. I still pray for that woman and that family. I still do. It's a big deal to me. Like, I know the love of a family. I know loving your children. I know what that's all about, obviously, right? I don't want to, I don't like it, but I know that people have to go through it. I just thank God for still taking care of me and my family. And I just pray that God keeps them and comforts them throughout their days and their life. And that, in the book of Job, things were restored. You can never restore another child. I can never see that. But I think He restores us through different situations. Maybe, I don't know. But I know that God is a healer. He restores. He's a protector. He's a miracle worker. And I just thank Him for my blessings. I do. I thank Him for my miracles. So, thank you for listening. Again, I just like to talk about that in this coronavirus stage that we're in. Let's talk about our miracles, how God has brought us through. It's a beautiful thing. Y'all can probably, I'm going to do a video, I'm going to upload a video that talks about my gray and how I'm letting it come in. because I'm not the person to be coloring. I don't like doing stuff like that. I think it's beautiful. I don't know, not everybody do, but I do. I like it. It's like highlights, I don't know how it's gonna come in, but I think it's gorgeous. Especially when my hair is freshly washed or whatever. I just think it's gorgeous. I love it. My mom, oh my God, her hair is so gorgeous. She allowed it to go completely gray. It's not gray, it's white silver. It's so gorgeous. So I'm just embracing my color, my gray. Um, Loving it. So in case y'all see, like, is that a patch of gray? I think it is because it looks like it from the video. I'm just loving it. I think it's beautiful. Anyway, enjoy your day. Be blessed. Bye bye.